If there's one thing that the Soulsborne universe is known for, it's the brutally unforgiving bosses that push players to their limits. Whether you're navigating the punishing landscapes of Dark Souls, Bloodborne, or Sekiro, confronting the hardest Soulsborne bosses of all time is an adrenaline-fueled experience fraught with challenge and triumph. These formidable foes are legendary not just for their difficulty, but for the satisfaction that comes with finally taking them down. Consider Ishin the Sword Saint from Sekiro. Shadow's died twice, whose lightning-fast moves and multifaceted combat skills are enough to test any player's patience and skill. Then there's Melnia, Blade of Miquella, whose aggressive fighting style and regenerative abilities keep players on their toes every second to fight. And let's not forget the Orphan of Kos from Bloodborne. This relentless and unpredictable adversary embodies the madness and ferocity that define the Soulsborne series. We want to hear about your own harrowing encounters. Cast your vote on the Soulsborne bosses that cause you to die the most. Share your stories of perseverance and grit, and see which bosses have haunted players long after the screen fades to black. Number 10, Sirloin. Unyielding, unnerving, and unrelenting. These are all qualities that are found in Sirloin's boss encounter. While Alon is not as bombastic compared to other encounters, he stands out because all of his attacks are swift, precise, and calculated. He quickly moves around the arena, setting himself up to land heavy damage, dealing slashes, and stabs at the players. This encounter challenges players to carefully watch for his attack patterns, especially if the battle drags on, because Alon becomes faster the longer the encounter goes. In addition, for players who are looking up the challenge, there's a secret animation when Alon is defeated, and it can only be achieved if players defeat him without taking any damage and not use any healing items. Back-to-back boss battle, Radagon and the Elden Beast are the culmination of main story bosses in Elden Ring. Radagon has a strong offensive presence as all of his attacks are precise, fast, and extremely dangerous, and simply being caught in one of them makes players feel how heavy those hits are. Meanwhile, the Elden Beast is a large cosmic being that utilizes the large arena to its fullest extent and attacks players with a variety of sword beams, fire blasts, holy arrows, magic homing missiles, a denoting mist, and devastatingly large golden explosions. Both bosses are extremely strong and can take away a majority of players' health if they are careful enough. However, the fact that players must fight them one right after the other forces them to be conservative with their flasks and must learn how to dodge the majority of their strongest attacks and combos perfectly. Number 8, Ornstein and Smuff. Potentially regarded as one of the most difficult boss battles in all of video game history, Ornstein and Smuff is infamously known for being brutally fair and challenging. The double boss battle has players continuously on the run, trying to get hits in whenever they can while they are dodging Ornstein's lighting fast attacks and Smuff damage-dealing strikes. The pair also earned its notoriety for being the very first boss in the entire Soulsborne series, for featuring a Phase 2 during the encounter forcing players to either face against a super large Ornstein or a lighting charged Smuff. While the duo laid the groundwork for future bosses, the challenge that players have to overcome in this encounter is definitely one of the hardest.
beings, helpless, an unsightly beast. The great terror looms. Weakness is coming. Have mercy. Have mercy upon us.
Number 7, Ludwig. Aggressive in every sense, Ludwig, the Accursed, is a boss encounter that gets players' blood pumping as they are forced to carefully evade all of his attacks. From wide sweeps to a high jump to a dangerous charge that can one-shot players, Ludwig is an unrelenting beast that gets up close and personal and doesn't give players a moment to collect their thoughts. In addition, he pulls out a massive greatsword in his second phase, and the AoE attack from it can instantly one-shot players who are trying to keep their distance from the accursed monster. He earns a spot on the list for his aggressive nature and forces players to be just as aggressive as him if they want a chance at defeating him. Six, Dark Eater Mitter. Dark Eater Mitter stands out as the toughest and most balanced dragon bosses in the Soulsborne series, for its shockingly high health bar and large-scale AoE attacks. From fire blast to dragon slashes, Mitter's strength is unparalleled and can easily send players back to the bonfire in 2 to 3 concise hits no matter what kind of build players make. In fact, Mitter's encounter punishes players who think they can tank every attack, and players who think they can defeat it by keeping a far distance. The Dark Eater is extremely balanced, as its strength and attack pattern doesn't feel or look impossibly difficult or unfair. However, while that thought alone gives players hope, the fight is still incredibly difficult, and is one of those bosses that is easier to defeat said than done. Player's existence. The Demon of Hatred earns notoriety for being a super aggressive boss that has many AoE attacks, all of which are incredibly difficult to dodge. Whereas some of the other bosses in Sekiro require perfectly timed combos and counters in order to defeat them, the Demon of Hatred is the exact opposite of that ideology, as the entire encounter forces players to be extremely aggressive and to really pay close attention to its attack pattern if they want a chance to succeed. The boss is essentially a Bloodborne-style boss fight, but players are forced to use different gameplay mechanics in order to defeat him, and that alone makes it this encounter more difficult than others.
不思議のもう一振りよ。
健一郎殿。そのようなものでは、決してアシナの命運は変わりませぬ。狼よ、流因など誰の手にもあるべきではないのだ。苦労をかけるな。
脅威。参る。ああ、しまいとしよう。
The very last boss in Sekiro, Shadow's died twice, and coming right after defeating Genichiro Ashina, Ishin. The Sword Saint stands out as one of the hardest bosses in the Soulsborne series for his aggression, speed, precision, long combo attacks, and large AoEs. This boss fight is one that truly challenges players and pushes them to their absolute limits, as his encounter has 3 painstakingly long phases. Number 4. While the first one is fairly easy to deal with, the next 2 are shockingly difficult as he becomes faster, more erratic, gains a second weapon that can deliver a huge AoE attack, and finally add a lightning buff to all of his attacks. The entire encounter is by far the longest in the game, and players have been close to flawless in their approach when facing against this Sword Saint.
故に赤炉お主を斬るぞ。
Bring Frida to me, please. Canst thou not see the flame flickering once again? Soon will it surge. I can see it, feel it.
Fret not, Father. We have no need of thy flail. 'Tis only the flame quivering at misguided ash. Please avert thine eyes. I will snuff out these ashes for good.
Number 3. The final boss of the Ashes of Ariandel DLC in Dark Souls 3, Sister Fried and Father Ariandel fittingly provides one of the toughest bosses in the Soulsborne series. The duo is a unique boss battle that combines many difficult aspects previously known in the Souls series. As Sister Fried swiftly moves around the map and delivers a series of fast combos that can give players a frostbite effect, Father Ariandel joins an encounter at the start of the second phase, and his aggressive fire attacks have a large AoE that can trouble players if they are not careful enough. However, once Ariandel is defeated, Fried goes into her third phase, where she adds a black flame buff to her weapon, and she becomes faster and more aggressive than ever before. Additionally, she also periodically heals herself throughout the entire encounter, which could cause players to panic if they are running out flasks. One of the most difficult bosses in Bloodborne, and arguably in the entire Soulsborne series, is the Orphan of Kos. Regarded as one of the most aggressive bosses in Bloodborne, The Orphan of Kos instantly charges at players the moment they first approach him and unleashes a non-stop assault where all of its attacks deal an incredibly high amount of damage. During his second phase, it becomes even more erratic as it wildly jumps across the stage and unleashes a fury of lightning attacks and combines them with quick heavy strikes that is super up close and personal. In a game that rewards players for being aggressive, Orphan of Kos stands out as the prime example of that ideology, and the only way to defeat it is to be just as aggressive while paying close attention to his moves.
Wait. The scarlet bloom flowers once more. You will witness true horror. Now, rot.
Number 1. Arguably the hardest boss in the entire Soulsborne series, Melnia, Blade of Miquella, states that she has never known defeat right before the encounter begins. And while that may seem like a cocky overstatement to veteran Soulsborne players, that is meant to serve as a warning before players learn how terrifyingly strong she is. Melnia is extremely fast, precise, and aggressive on all counts, and she has a lifesteal ability that can heal herself with every single hit she lands on you, meaning that getting caught in a 20-hit combo attack will fully heal the rotting warrior. This is the one boss where every mistake you make shows, and her second phase increases the difficulty in ways players fear the most. From adding a scarlet rot effect to emitting copies of herself to a large-scale rot blue AoE that takes forever to dissipate, Melnia does not give players time or room to recover. No matter how far players run, or what kind of build they prepare with, Melnia will send players to their doom.
Strength. Extraordinary. The mark of a true lord. Oh, dear Miquella. Oh, dearest Miquella. My brother. I'm sorry. I finally met